Your support helps us bring you programs you love. Go to wyomingpbs.org, click on Support, and become a sustaining member or an annual member. It's easy and secure. Thank you.
With cameras always loaded in the back of his truck, his day job takes him all over Wyoming. But photography, his hobby, is what gets Pinedale's Dave Bell up before dawn and keeps him awake well after dark. And then magic happens in his studio he calls Area 51. The stunning Western Wyoming photography of Dave Bell. Next on Wyoming Chronicle. Stop in sometime at the Den Restaurant in Daniel, Wyoming, and take a look at what's on the wall. You'll see spectacular photographs of everything Wyoming's beautiful landscapes have to offer, all shot by Pinedale's Dave Bell. Photography, he'll tell you, is just his hobby, but the results are stunning. We were lucky to go out on an autumn shoot with Dave, and we'll show you the jaw-dropping shots he took with us of a western Wyoming sunset at the end of tonight's show. Before we visit with Dave, enjoy now a few minutes of his work, which he recently previewed for Leadership Wyoming. It's our pleasure, Dave, to be visiting with you now on Wyoming Chronicle. Welcome.
Thank you, Craig.
We've just seen some examples of your wonderful work. And before we get into talking about your photography, I want to talk about your past history in Wyoming. You were in Wyoming for a while, you moved away, and now you came back.
That's right. Wyoming's home. And we lived in Gillette during the energy coal boom, which is where Peggy and I were married in 1976. And it was probably one of the most exciting periods of our life. We made lifelong friends there, got to work with some phenomenal people, including Mike Enzi and Flip McConaughey, who just passed away, was a dear, dear friend of ours. But Gillette was an exciting town to live in. It was a great learning opportunity, and it's an experience that we both treasure deeply.
And from Gillette, you moved to Colorado for a little while?
We did. I guess the lure of the mountains is what you would call it. I accepted a job running the
Not that there aren't mountains right here, by the way.
This ain't too bad. I accepted a job running the Steamboat Springs Chamber Resort Association, and we were there for 6 winters, and 3 of those winters it didn't snow, and a couple of those winters the people that showed up weren't the right ones. And so we learned quickly that running a resort association in a resort town is maybe one of the more difficult jobs that you can imagine. And then from Steamboat Springs we went to Denver, where I accepted a job with the state chamber and had a great experience there. But the drag of Denver, I guess, is what caused us to decide that Wyoming was truly home.
And now we're on the shores of Fremont Lake at your cabin.
Right.
What a beautiful view that you have each and every day. You spend a lot of time in the summer here.
We live here in the summer. It's truly just a magical place. We have great neighbors, spend a lot of time with them as good friends, and this is truly, I guess, a blessing for us and our whole family. Whenever Dad, me, says to the kids, I think it's time to sell the cabin, I almost have an uprising. They don't get to spend as much time here as they'd like because they live in Montana, but I guess they look forward to the day when they can spend time down here like Mom and Dad do. So this is truly a great family place.
Academically, your background is in journalism.
I have a degree in journalism from the University of South Dakota. I grew up in Rapid City, had some fine teachers there, and that's where my love of photography was really uncovered, I guess.
I'll bet it had to do with real film, though.
It did.
Uh-huh.
It did. We learned how to shoot film, to process film, learned how expensive film is, and in fact, there was a period of time when I never owned a camera. I have a dear friend in Gillette who he and I did backpacking trips for nearly 30 years, and I have some of those trips where I don't have a single picture because I wasn't carrying a camera, believe it or not. I lost interest in it for a while, and the cost of developing film and slides was prohibitive to us at that point. And so it's hard to believe with what I'm doing now that I went through a period of time in my life where I didn't shoot a single picture.
Now your day job takes you all over Wyoming. You drive a lot.
I do. I have a wonderful job selling commercial insurance, and I have a wide variety of clients throughout Wyoming. I spend a lot of time on the road, and actually love it. People kind of look at me like I'm crazy sometimes, but there's always at least one, usually 3 cameras in the car. I usually try to leave early because I know I'm going to see something, and I hate being late. And so it's truly a wonderful experience.
Now, you weren't sure about the day you got your very first digital camera.
I guess that's a story of an ungrateful husband, maybe. My wife got me my first digital camera probably in around 2000, and it was a Sony DSC 707. I still have the camera to this day. But just prior to that, I started to acquire some nice film stuff, some Canon stuff and some Canon lenses, and I was getting back into photography and beginning to reacquaint myself with how all of it worked. And I opened up this Christmas present from my wife, and inside is a digital camera, and I looked at her and I said, honey, why in the world would I want a digital camera? and her heart sank, and the kids looked at me like, Dad, you are a fool. And I was, and it took about 20 minutes before I was groveling, trying to get back in my wife's good graces about that ungenerous remark. So my world changed the day she got me that digital camera.
And what happened next? You started traveling the state, and you started using that camera, I assume?
Well, in our family, we call it the arms race. Camera technology, digital technology has advanced so quickly that I began to acquire new and better and faster and bigger bodies and lenses, and I guess that the whole idea of being able to take a picture and see it and then beginning to learn how to process it, which we'll talk about hopefully later, became really a passion and almost an obsession with me, because it was so much fun, and it provided an instant outlet for creative energy that I had but never could figure out what to do with before, I guess. So
millennials today are maybe glancing at their cell phone. You're driving around the state looking around for another great shot.
The next shot.
Yeah. Where in Wyoming do you really enjoy shooting?
Well, there isn't really a place that I don't. I'll confess I've had a little trouble finding great shots on I-80, but they're there, and I have captured some pretty nice stuff on I-80, particularly of the desert elk herd, which you see occasionally from I-80, and you have to be ready to stop and shoot them when you see them. But I again, the camera is with me all the time. There isn't a single place that I enjoy more than another. And generally when I'm done with my client meetings, I'm out driving around after we're done at night looking for a sunset or looking for a creek or looking for a tree or a reflection or something like that. So Wyoming is so broad and vast and varied landscape-wise that you just never know what's around the next corner, and that's what I like about it.
In terms of full disclosure, the reason that you and I are here today is you stopped and helped along the highway a mutual friend.
Scott Acton.
Yeah.
I'm a cyclist. I've gone on a number of supported cycling tours all over the United States, and for a while that was my absolute passion, was cycling. And so here I am out by Jeffrey City traveling that lonely highway, and it's a spring day and it's colder than the devil, and the wind is blowing about 25 miles an hour, and I come upon a cyclist who's struggling in the temperature and with the wind right on his nose. And so I pulled over and he cruised up to me and we got to visiting, and I'm trying to offer this fella food or drink or a ride, or, I got a bike rack on my car. What can I do? And lo and behold, it's Dr. Scott Acton, who I learned later is probably one of the smartest men in the world. And but yet he and I created an instant bond out on the highway near Jeffrey City, completely unexpected. It was a great experience.
You've shot photography for a long time. You're an artist. Do you consider yourself an artist? I view you as an artist.
Well, I don't know. I have an eye, I guess, and I guess you call it art. I call it photography. I enjoy it, and there's composition things that happen up here that I probably am not aware of, but that's a nice compliment. Thank you.
Do you worry that this might overtake your desire to earn an income through your day job?
Well, my wife and I have talked a lot about that, and we still view it as a hobby. And I have such a wonderful job with Hub International. They allow me to do my thing, to go see my clients, to do what I do best, which is sell and service large commercial accounts. And it's hard to think about, even though I'm 64, believe it or not, retiring, because I enjoy the balance in my life at this point in time. And so there's no pressure to perform. I just keep shooting, and that's fun.
You share your knowledge with other photographers. You've taken backcountry trips with other photographers in the guise of sharing knowledge.
Interesting experience. This is the first year I've ever done that. And last winter, during the recovery from a terrible back injury, I decided that part of my motivation would be to make sure I was ready for backcountry experiences this summer. And so, quite on a whim, I put together a Facebook page called Wyoming, or a Wind River Photography Expedition. And I put it out there that I was interested in taking 5 or 6 people into the backcountry of our beautiful Wind River Mountains. I set up a deal with a local outfitter, Bald Mountain Outfitters, to fully support the trip. We put together a price, and lo and behold, I had more interest than I could imagine. I ended up with 5 initial guests, and we had literally the time of our lives. It was so much fun, laughing and learning. One night at 1 in the morning, we got up and walked 3 miles to a lake with our headlamps on and shot the stars. And they're still talking about it. I'm still talking about it. So,
is that the secret to being a great photographer, is willing to get up in the middle of the night, to get where you need to be there at sunrise before anyone else is up and about?
It's the magic time, and you have to be there when it's happening. You know, when the sun is high, you lose it. You lose the soft light and the shadows and the way the light's falling on the leaves or reflecting on a lake or lighting up a cloud or a mountain peak. And that's the name of the game in this business, is being there when it's happening. You can't recreate it later. And as good as Photoshop is, you still can't recreate it in Photoshop. So
let's talk about Photoshop, but first let's talk about Area 51.
Okay.
You go to Area 51 often, don't you?
I spend a lot of time at Area 51, or my version of Area 51. It's a creation that over the last 3 or 4 years, my wife and I have built for my photography, and it's literally, I guess, my studio, although we all refer to it as Area 51. And it's where I keep my gear, and I can make sure my cameras are in good working order, and my printers are there, and all my internet and telecommunications is all there. But it's also where Photoshop resides on my computer system, and all of my storage resides. And it's a great personal place. It's my man cave, I guess, but we call it Area 51.
You didn't use Photoshop in college?
No, it didn't exist in
sure,
college.
It didn't exist. And how tough was it for you to learn a whole nother realm of what it means to be a photographer?
Well, I've had some good teachers. And for a long time, I was kind of fooling myself because I was using I was processing pictures in Photoshop, but not doing it correctly, and using some plugins that I could buy to create visual effects within the pictures. And so a piece of software was manually manipulating the picture. A few years ago, I became friends with a fellow photographer by the name of Mark Metternich. And Mark is truly my mentor. He's a world famous photographer who lives in Oregon and in New Mexico, depending on the time of the year. And he has put together some tremendous training videos on Photoshop and is available, always answers the phone. Hey Mark, how does this work? And so that's how I've really learned how Photoshop can affect the outcome of a picture. Now, we sort of have a saying amongst half a dozen of us, what would Ansel do? Okay? Because Ansel Adams was brilliant as a photographer, and his compositions were so unique and so beautiful. But yet at the same time, Ansel was best in the darkroom, where he could dodge and burn and use different chemicals and create different effects on his pictures. And so we sort of have this saying, what would Ansel do? Would placing an elk in the middle of the river be something that Ansel would do? No, I don't think so. Would changing all of the colors on a picture be something that Ansel would do? Probably not, although he mostly shot in black and white. So there's some limitations that we use that affect how far we're willing to go in Photoshop, because you can do a lot of things in Photoshop. I have chosen to only shoot one image pictures. I don't use stacked images. I don't take multiple images and merge them. Mm-hmm. Everything I shoot is all one image. And think that's kind of how I prefer it to be.
Yeah, you'll go out on a shoot of some elk or some moose. You'll take hundreds of pictures, and you'll find that one, and all of a sudden you'll invest another 45 minutes, an hour in just one of those hundreds of pictures.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time in Area 51 and sometimes probably too long, although my wife has a great hobby being a quilter, so she's not missing me too much, I suppose. But you do invest a lot of time working on one picture.
Where in Wyoming do you hope to get to again soon, or maybe shoot more?
Well, I'm headed to Yellowstone this coming weekend, and be in Yellowstone for 4 days. And Yellowstone is a magnificent place this time of the year.
Are you looking for nature scenery, wildlife? Do you enjoy one over the other? Are they all together?
No, it's a tie.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start, and we'll leave here at 3:30 in the morning and get to the Oxbow to catch the elk swim in the snake. I've got a place I go that so far not many people know about, and we can almost guaranteed watch the elks swim the snake. Then we'll head into Yellowstone and spend the next 4 days basically up at 5 and not back to the hotel room in Gardner until 9 p.m. at night, and drive every road in the park.
Nice.
And looking for traffic and looking for things, and it's all scenery and it's all wildlife driven.
It's all beautiful. You brought some of your favorites, although I bet it's hard for you to define what your favorites are.
Well, a photographer thinks the last picture he took is his favorite, so it's kind of a challenge knowing which one. But these are 5 I grabbed off the pile that I thought were kind of cool.
Talk about them, each one of them individually, what you like about it and where we are.
Well, this image was taken in the Upper Green, and I happen to think that the Upper Green is I believe it's one of the prettiest places in Wyoming, if not the prettiest place in Wyoming. This was a fall morning, got some ice on the small pond. But yet the sky's blue and some fresh snow has fallen on what's called White Rock and Square Top.
Okay.
And so
this is a beautiful picture. Those of us in Wyoming who have seen a double rainbow can really appreciate this.
One night my kids and I were headed to Elkhart Park to catch the sunset, and a vigorous thunderstorm had just rolled through Pinedale, and we were going up past Half Moon Lake, and this double rainbow appeared, and so that's Half Moon Lake in the picture with a double rainbow. And the world of photography means you stop now, and that's what we did.
Beautiful. This one looks, the storm's getting closer.
Yeah, I have a favorite spot I like to shoot up on Skyline Drive of Pinedale, and we get some magnificent storms in the spring. Just some beautiful weather rolls through our town, and this was a vigorous thunderstorm that I shot for 45 minutes or an hour as it rolled literally from southwest to northeast. It went right by me. And I tried to capture it as it's kind of over Fremont Lake to create some leading lines in the picture and some different colors. And so it was a beautiful picture, beautiful afternoon.
Speaking of beautiful.
Again, this is taken on Skyline Drive above Pinedale. It's a wonderful place to catch sunsets, especially when you've got a lot of cloud structure. And so we had just that this night with reflections of color off the surface of Fremont Lake and an active horizon. So one of my favorite spots to shoot, but maybe they all are, right?
How far are you away from the Tetons here?
Well, this was taken in the Upper Green up towards Union Pass on a place called Bacon Ridge. And I suppose we're 40 miles as the crow flies from the Tetons. And what I liked about this was the way the sunrise unfolded. I had this incredible light on the Grand Teton and Mount Moran, but then this really cool cloud appeared and got lit up by the sun as it hit it at the right angle, and it was just spectacular. This is the Grovant River that flows down through here, and it starts just off to the left of the picture, up by the Darwin Ranch at the base of the Grovant Peaks. So a very special place. I'm planning on being at this location when the eclipse occurs in August of 2017.
Very great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that result, Dave. what's next for you as far as, is this going to be what carries you through the rest of your life, maybe after you retire?
I sure hope so.
And we've got about a minute left here.
I hope so. You know, my wife and I are beginning to do a lot more traveling to other places. She's retired. We've got a trip planned to the Redwoods in California in November. You say November, why November? Well, the weather ought to be spectacular in November from a photographer standpoint. Fog, clouds, storms, those kinds of things. So, you know, she likes to do it with me. She is a librarian by trade, so she loves to read, so she's very content accompanying me reading while I'm out doing my thing, and it's a wonderful thing for us to do together all over the United States.
Dave Bell, it's been a pleasure to visit with someone who is an amateur photographer, but really not. You're an absolute professional. Your work is absolutely stunning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Craig.
for joining us on Wyoming Chronicle.
My pleasure.